Good morning, everybody. Eric here. It's Tuesday morning, March 8th. Today is day 23 of my walk for 2 miles every day for 90 days challenge. And I have completed my 2 miles this morning. It rained last night. It was kind of muddy and slippery out here, but not too bad. So temperature is actually excellent right now. It's like in the low 50s. I think it was like 50 or 51, something like that. So excellent temps for walking. I feel awesome right now. So I finished talking to you guys about my 20s. I want to talk to you guys a little bit about my 30s now. So in my 30s, that's kind of when my health started going down. As you all well know, I smoked for 30 years, and don't exactly know if that had anything to do with it, but I was not in the best of health. I couldn't breathe that well. But in my early 30s, I started having a lot of issues with my back, a lot of pain, lost jobs, quit jobs, got fired from jobs because I just wasn't putting out the work that needed to be done. Left some jobs because the work was just too much. Then as I got into 31 and 32, I started having issues with, I was having problems with my neck. And I was having issues driving and couldn't get to, like, I couldn't turn my neck to, check blind spots or anything like that, and started having some real concerns. And I started going to the doctor, and of course, I was back and forth with jobs, in and out of jobs. I didn't have any insurance. I didn't have any kind of government health care or anything like that. So not too many people would help me. And, I explained to you guys before that, I had a pretty serious drug problem when I was younger. And, all the doctors wanted to do was feed me narcotics, pain pills. And I actually didn't want them. The sad thing is, at first I did. It was, I guess, an excuse for me to take something and get that high feeling again. But after a while, I could feel the wear and tear on my body, and it was starting to get frustrated, and I could feel the addiction kicking in. So I got to where I didn't want to take the pain pills anymore, and I started seriously looking for help with my back, but nobody was willing to help me. It got to a point, it got so bad that I wound up not being able to walk for almost 6 months. I could walk with help from my wife, or if I was holding my body up so there was literally no weight on my sacrum, my lower back, and but it was very painful. It was like somebody was taking a sword and just stabbing it into my back and pushing it down into my tailbone. It was terrible. I was having lightning and fire feelings going down my leg all the way down to my feet. And I tell you what, that was some pain that I would not wish on my worst enemy at all. That was a terrible time in my life. I remember my wife being pregnant with my youngest son, and basically, instead of me taking care of her, she was taking care of me. I literally had to roll off the bed onto a blanket on the floor in so much pain and agony just to get to the bathroom. I could not sit. I could not stand. I couldn't even get comfortable when I was laying in bed. The pain was so bad. Finally, after a while, I was able to get a doctor to refer me to get an MRI. And I went and got an MRI, and oh my goodness, it was a $4,000 bill. I'll never forget that. But I managed to, after being out of work for a while, I think it was after a year, I had to wait a whole year of being out of work to get some temporary Medicaid, and that's what allowed me to get the MRI. So I did have to pay some money out of pocket, but I think the Medicaid, if I can remember, paid most of it, so that was a big help. So the MRI wound up telling us that I had degenerative disc disease. I had 2 herniated discs in my L4 and my L5, and my L5 was fragmented to a point so bad where there was just little pieces of disc floating around all over the place in my lower back, and this is what was causing the issues with the lightning and the fire down the leg. The fragmented pieces, basically the white blood cells in my body, were fighting them, causing inflammation and swelling, and it was putting so much pressure on my sciatica nerve that it was causing the issues with my leg. I had days where my leg was just so numb it felt dead. But the pain was so intense. It was unreal. The lightning and the fire and the burning. It was almost as if you were standing with your leg in a fire and couldn't pull it out. It was terrible. So I went and saw some specialists, saw some other doctors, and basically everyone wanted me to get this surgery, and it was going to be basically a fusion between my sacrum, my L5, and my L4. And the price at the time was $100,000. I was going to have to come up with $10,000 out of pocket, and the Medicaid was going to cover the rest. But the concern I had was I was a young man in my early 30s, and I was basically told that there would be an 80% success or failure rate. 20%. There was only a 20% success rate and an 80% failure rate with the surgery they were talking about at the time. And I was actually very confused because I was thinking, this is ridiculous. We're talking about 2010, 2011, 2012. I would have assumed that the technology was way more advanced by then. I had heard about some surgeries that were very successful in other countries, over in Europe, and I did some research on them, but obviously I didn't have the means or money to make that happen, so I of course turned down the surgery. I was not about to attempt getting a surgery done with a 20% success rate. I just was not going to do it. So at this point, I found myself laying in bed quite a bit, thinking my life was over, that I was going to spend the rest of my life laid up in a bed, hating life, hating myself, and somebody taking care of me. This caused a lot of stress between me and my wife. Obviously I didn't have the relationship I wanted to have with my children because I couldn't do the things I wanted to do. And let's just say it was a very tough time in my life. Very depressing. I remember being up late one night, couldn't sleep because the pain was so bad, and I was watching a commercial on TV about decompression therapy. And I thought to myself, you know what, that might work. There was no guarantee. I had no clue what decompression therapy was at the time. I had never heard of it. But I decided to make a phone call the next day and wound up setting an appointment, and my wife took me to this place in Cary, North Carolina, and we spoke with a chiropractor that specialized in decompression therapy, and found out it was going to cost $10,000 and insurance wasn't going to cover it. Well, again, I was let's just say I wasn't too thrilled. I'm like, where the hell am I going to come up with $10,000? I don't have a job. So I had no clue what I was going to do. So I wound up calling the doctor and having a few other meetings with him, and he actually agreed that if I could pay him $1,500, I believe it was, that he would allow me to do a payment plan. And I would have to follow a pretty strict schedule, and that if I did not follow that schedule, he would basically terminate my routine, and I wouldn't get any money back. So, but I agreed to the terms, and I wound up borrowing the money from not even a friend of mine, it was a friend of my mom's, so that I could do this, and started my program, my decompression therapy. And within about 3 months of doing the decompression therapy, I think I was going like 4 times a week to begin with, for the first couple weeks, and then as time went on, the amount of times I went would lessen. It was like 4 times a week, and then 3 times a week, and 2 times a week. But after about 3 months, I was actually able to walk. I still had a lot of pain and discomfort and sciatica issues, but I was able to walk. And I started getting excited, because even though I was still in pain, I was able to actually get up and walk around and do things that I couldn't do before. So I kept up with the routine, and after 6 months of doing the decompression therapy, I was able to walk with no pain. Still had sciatica problems. I would get the lightning and burning leg sensation every once in a while, but the pain was not as intense. I got a lot of discomfort, and maybe some pain every once in a while if I did something stupid or tried to pick something up heavy. But for the most part, I tried to keep to my routine and not do anything strenuous. And after a year, the pain was gone entirely. I was amazed. I had no clue that this decompression therapy was going to work as well as it would have. My biggest concern was I had fragmented pieces of disc in my back. Wasn't sure how that was going to work, so with the decompression therapy, they hook you up on a machine, and they basically they pull you apart. And that sounds weird. They don't pull you apart, but it stretches you, and then you go back, and it does this over and over and over again. And in doing so, what it does is it creates a vacuum, and this vacuum basically takes your disc and pulls it back into place. And then when it lets go, your disc goes back and pulls you back in, pulls your disc back into place and goes back, and it kind of does this back and forth motion. And obviously, it's nothing. It's not a very big movement. It's very minor. That's why it takes so much time and why it took so long. But over time, it actually pulled the disc back into place. And I don't know that it pulled the fragmented pieces back into place. We never went in and got them out. I don't know what happened to them. I don't know if they just over time deteriorated, or the white blood cells got rid of them somehow. I'm not gonna lie, I'm not a doctor. I don't have a clue what happened. Every once in a while I'll still have some nerve issue, some sciatica issue, but nothing like before. Usually it's just because of an inflamed muscle or something like that, or put my back out of place or something. So I wound up doing the decompression therapy for 5 years. For 5 years. And to this day, I see a chiropractor once a month. I don't see that same chiropractor. That chiropractor I was seeing actually wound up getting out of the decompression business and got into knee therapy business. Not sure why. So I see a different chiropractor now. But I actually have an appointment today that I'm going to this afternoon. So, and I will more than likely keep that routine up for the rest of my life. But it's funny, I'm here today. 11, 12 years ago, I was laying in a bed thinking I'd never walk again. Hating my life. Basically just thinking my life was over as a young 30-year-old male. And here I am, 44 years old, 12, 13 years later, walking 2 miles every morning now. Who would have ever believed it? I didn't. So just because bad things happen to you in life doesn't mean that's the end. Doesn't mean you have to have a miserable life. You make it what it is with your choices and your thoughts. So it's taken a long time to get to this point, but I'm here now, and I'm not gonna give up. I got my walk 2 miles every morning for 90 days challenge. I have quit smoking. I smoked all through my 30s. I smoked almost my whole life since I was 14 years old. 14, 15 years old, that's when I started smoking and got really heavy into it. And wasn't until last year in October that I quit. So basically you can put your mind, if you can think about it, you can do it. You just have to commit and make it happen and take the action. So that was most of my 30s, guys, the decompression therapy. I did 5 years of that. So I think I was 37 when I finished my 38 when I finished my decompression therapy. I believe I told you guys a story before where, my wife was pregnant and wound up having to go to the emergency room and carry, and the entrance to the emergency room is uphill. It's up a hill. And I remember the ER doctors coming out and grabbing my wife. She was on her last leg of her pregnancy. She was 9 months, and they grabbed her thinking we were there for her, and I fell on the ground like like a piece of paper, like a limp banana peel or something. My wife, being deaf, is yelling at them, trying to explain to them, hey, we're not here for me, we're here for him. And they, I screamed out in pain, and they turned around and they like freaking out, and they picked me up and took me inside, and I'll never forget that. That's burned into my head for the rest of my life. I tell you what else I don't remember. We were in the urgent care for an hour, and not the urgent care, the ER for an hour, and they wouldn't even do anything. They basically sent me home with pain meds. I told them I didn't want pain meds. I didn't want narcotics, and they basically didn't care. And you wonder why our country has the opioid problems it has. So I was telling these people I didn't want the drugs, and they were giving them to me anyway. But what do you do? So funny thing is, no drugs, no surgery got me to where I'm at today. The decompression therapy did. The belief and the commitment and the eagerness to be able to walk again without pain got me to where I'm at today. So my video is getting pretty long here, guys. I'm almost at 20 minutes, so I'm gonna call it. But just another basically 10 years into my life for the most part, and day 23 of my 90-day challenge. Walk 2 miles every day for 90 days complete. Y'all have a wonderful day. I'll see you guys tomorrow morning.